Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're undertaking a deep dive into some truly foundational material.
We really are.
We're talking existential philosophy, psychology, self-development, all focused on this one pretty difficult idea. How do you build a meaningful life? And maybe more importantly, why does that demand constraints? Why does it demand rules?
Exactly. And we've pulled together, 12 core principles from this dense material, all aimed at establishing what the sources call habitable order.
Right.
So our mission today is to kind of bypass the heavy academic language and really extract the biological and the psychological insights that make these ideas feel urgent and personal for you.
Okay, so let's start right there at the foundation, because we usually think of freedom as, getting rid of rules.
Right.
But this material makes a really radical claim that people don't actually want that.
Yeah.
It kicks off with this dramatic biblical analogy of Moses coming down the mountain.
It's the story of the golden calf. It's perfect. So Moses goes up to get the commandments, the rules, the structure.
A framework.
The framework, yes. And when he comes back, the children of Israel, who have just been freed from 400 years of slavery, total tyrannical control.
What are they doing?
They're dancing around a molten idol, a golden calf.
They got this supposedly unlimited freedom, and the first thing they do is just collapse. They collapse into chaos and start worshiping something, frankly, meaningless.
That's the psychological kernel right there. The sources argue that without rules, without defined boundaries, we just become slaves to our own passions.
To our impulses.
To our short-term impulses, yeah. And that's arguably far worse than political oppression. When we're left to our own devices, we aim low. We do all sorts of self-destructive things. So those commandments, they weren't just arbitrary.
No, they were necessary. They were guardrails.
Necessary guidance to maintain a higher standard. Absolutely.
So rules aren't just limitations. They're the scaffolding that stops us from self-destructing.
Yeah.
And this structure, it frames reality itself as this fundamental duality, order and chaos.
And this is where the ancient Taoist symbol, the yin and yang, it just comes in perfectly. It gives you the framework to understand your own experience.
Okay.
You have order, that's the explorer territory, the white serpent.
Yeah.
It's the predictability of, your job, social norms, the comfort of your home. It's what you know.
It's the floor under my feet. It's the train showing up on time. It's knowing that tomorrow will probably look a lot like today.
Exactly. And then you have chaos, the black serpent.
The unknown.
The unknown, the unexpected. A sudden illness, you lose your job. A tragedy, it's the source of destruction, but it's also the source of creation. It's everything outside our neat little cultural boxes.
But the fascinating part of that symbol is the little dot of the opposite color in each serpent.
That dot is so crucial. It shows that even when you feel totally secure in order, the unknown can suddenly appear. That's the chaos dot.
And the reverse.
And conversely, when everything feels lost, when you're deep in chaos, a new structure can emerge from that catastrophe. That's the order dot. And the sources say that real meaning, deep, sustaining meaning, it's found by walking the border between the two.
You don't run from one to the other.
No, you deliberately walk that line where they constantly meet.
Okay, before we get into the practical side, let's just clarify one term. The sources refer to reality as being with a capital B. What does that mean?
Yes. So they're drawing on a philosophical concept. Being isn't just objective material reality, not just atoms and molecules.
It's more than that.
It's the totality of your subjective experience. It includes your emotions, your dreams, your fears, and this sort of indeterminate potential that is fundamentally shaped by the decisions you make.
So my reality isn't just what's out there. It's a combination of the external world and my consciousness shaping it. My choices literally create the world I inhabit.
You got it. And this is where it gets really interesting because the authors link this sort of metaphysical idea to a purely biological process. And they use frankly, a very surprising example.
The lobster.
The lobster. I know, it's the most unexpected connection, but it shows just how primordial this whole idea of hierarchy and status really is.
Okay, so why a lobster? What makes it the perfect case study here?
Because lobsters establish these incredibly stable dominance hierarchies through ritualized fighting. And the second that status is set, it triggers a massive biological change.
A chemical change.
A chemical change. And the chemicals are identical to ours. Status is tracked by serotonin, a mechanism we share with these, ancient creatures.
A low-ranking lobster.
It produces low serotonin.
Yeah.
This makes it hyper-responsive to stress. It's constantly on edge because at the bottom of the heap, anything bad can happen. It basically shows all the biological signs of anxiety and depression.
If you're the winner, the top lobster.
Well, if you're a high-ranking lobster, or a human for that matter, you have much higher serotonin. And this is linked to less illness, less misery, less death, even when you control for things like how much food they get.
Wow.
The implication is just stunning. Status isn't just a social idea. It is ancient. It is primordial. It is chemical. Low status literally drains your energy. It shuts down your immune system, and it speeds up aging.
So you're saying there's this, an unspeakably ancient calculator deep in my brain.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
And it's constantly monitoring where I stand in society and then changing my body chemistry based on that.
It is translating your social rank directly into your physical health. And this biological reality, this underpins that philosophical command to stand up straight.
Stand up straight with your shoulders back.
It's a biological signal. It means accepting the burden of being self-conscious and vulnerable. It means you're willingly taking on the sacrifices needed to create that habitable order if you just slump around like a defeated lobster.
It's your own brain.
Your own brain, that ancient counter, will assign you a low dominance number. And that will make you anxious and ensure that you back down the next time you're challenged.
Which brings us from the biology to the practical application. Specifically, Rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today.
This is the perfect antidote to that internal critic, right? Because, of course, we're not all equal in ability or outcome. And if you're constantly comparing your entire self to someone else's highlight reel on social media,
It's paralyze yourself.
you paralyze yourself, and your rational mind uses that as this cheap trick to talk you into being cynical and giving up. I mean, think about it. If you are winning at absolutely everything you do, you're not growing. You're not challenging yourself at all.
So how do you start practically? When the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels, infinite.
You have to aim small, so small. You don't try to fix your whole life in one day. You ask yourself, what is one tiny thing I could do right now that I would do voluntarily without resentment?
Like clearing a little pile of paper.
Or making one tough phone call.
Yeah.
And then, and this is key, you have to follow through, even if you do it badly, and then you have to reward yourself for it. Get that cup of coffee, in triumph.
It's like compound interest for your life. You raise your baseline day by day, and then you look back in 3 years, and your life it's unrecognizable.
And this whole process of aiming, it ties directly into how you perceive the world. The sources repeat this crucial concept. What you aim at determines what you see.
Okay, so this is where we get to the gorilla study. And I think a lot of people have probably seen that video, right?
Oh, absolutely. Dan Simons' experiment. It's famous.
But I have to say, I have never connected it to my own personal goals.
Yeah.
That's a whole new angle for me.
It's a perfect illustration. So the participants, they watch a video, and they're told to count the number of basketball passes between players in white shirts.
Simple enough.
And they do it. They get the number right, 15 passes. But when they're asked afterward, half of them, completely failed to see the man in a gorilla suit who walked right into the middle of the game.
Stopped, beat his chest, and walked off.
A huge, obvious, chest-beating gorilla was literally invisible to half the viewers.
How is that even possible?
Because vision is neurologically expensive. Your brain is constantly triaging reality to save energy. You only focus your high-res vision on what helps you achieve your immediate goal, counting the passes.
So if the gorilla doesn't interfere with the task...
Your brain just ignores it. It's hidden in plain sight because of the narrowness of your aim.
Okay, I get the theory, but in practice, isn't it kind of paralyzing to think about everything I must be missing? How do you use that insight without just getting overwhelmed?
You don't aim for everything. You aim for improvement. The takeaway here is this. If your life isn't going well, if you're unhappy, your current goal is probably blinding you to what you truly need to see.
Including the solutions that are right in front of us.
Exactly. You're holding on to some narrow, immediate desire so tightly that you are missing a world of possibilities.
And that choice between clinging to what's immediate and sacrificing for a new, truthful vision, that brings us to the core moral distinction in the sources, right? Meaning versus expedience.
Expedience, yeah. As it's defined in Rule 7, it's the path of immediate pleasure. It's following a blind impulse, short-term gain, lying to get what you want.
It's basically transferring the cost of your actions onto your future self or onto other people.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's the curse transfer. It's the perfect description of the monkey trap analogy.
Right.
The monkey reaches into the jar, it grabs the treats, and now its fist is too big to pull out. It can't get its hand free without unclenching, without letting go.
So that short-term grasping,
Yeah.
that unwillingness to sacrifice the part, it destroys the whole. The monkey stays a slave to its own desire.
And this immediate self-serving path is so often supported by dishonesty, by what the sources call the life lie.
A lifeline.
It's an attempt to manipulate reality to fit what you want it to be. And it's rooted in arrogance. It's the assumption that what I know right now is all that needs to be known.
And when you lie, you might protect yourself for a moment. But you knew the truth when you told the lie.
You did. And the sources use this devastating historical example of how these lies can corrupt an entire society. They reference Alexander Solzhenitsyn's work on the Soviet system.
The Gulag Archipelago.
Exactly. Solzhenitsyn's analysis found a direct link between the pathology of the state and the widespread practice of citizens just falsifying their own day-to-day experience, pretending things were fine when they weren't.
Denying the suffering all around them.
And that pervasive bad faith, it aided and abetted mass murder. A lie isn't just a misstatement of fact, it's an action that poisons the world around you. It fundamentally destabilizes being itself.
So telling the truth, or at least refusing to lie, is the fundamental act of courage.
It is the sacrifice of the current you for the you that could be. It's an act of faith in the possibility of transformation, believing that the truth, what you don't yet know, is what will ultimately save you.
Okay, we've built this internal architecture, but how does it translate to our relationships? To the external world? Let's talk about choosing your allies.
The advice on friendship in these sources is, well, it's harsh, but it's necessary.
Which is?
You are not morally obliged to support someone who is actively making their own life and therefore the world worse.
That's tough to hear.
It is, but true friendship is about a reciprocal upward aim. You should choose people who support your growth and who won't tolerate your cynicism or your self-destruction.
But that sounds almost cruel, doesn't it? It's just abandon someone who's suffering? Are we supposed to help?
It's not about abandoning them. It's about recognizing the limits of your role. If you surround yourself with healthy, striving people, they will encourage your growth. They'll also punish you carefully when you fail.
And if you surround yourself with the cynical and destructive?
They will actively discourage you from improving because your success just highlights their own failure.
So this brings up that temptation, right?
Oh.
The rescuer fantasy.
It's a huge one. And the source references Dostoevsky here, his notes from Underground.
The underground man and Liza the prostitute.
Exactly. His whole attempt to save her, it wasn't about her at all. It was pure vanity, pure narcissism. He ends up deliberately humiliating her, crushing her last hopes, just to prove his own moral superiority.
A warning against uncritical compassion.
Especially when it's really fueled by our own need for validation.
And this complexity, it extends right into our closest relationships. When an argument starts, our default is just wanting to be right. How do we pivot away from that?
This is a profound moment of choice. When you're arguing, you have to decide. Do you want to be right or do you want to have peace?
And peace requires negotiation.
It requires negotiation, which means sacrificing that desire for absolute correctness.
Yeah.
It means asking yourself the really hard question, what did I do to contribute to this situation?
And you have to genuinely want the answer, even if you're not going to like it.
Exactly. Because if you insist on being right all the time, you just destroy the relationship. Which brings us, really, to the ultimate guiding principle here, Rule 6.
Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world.
That's the core ethic. It ties everything together. Before you decide what's wrong with the government or the culture or your partner, fix your own faults first.
Yeah.
Address your own inaction, your own cynicism.
Because your conscious sins and your inaction, they remove from the world the part of you that could have actually made things better.
And if everyone did this voluntarily in their own lives, we would suddenly find ourselves in a much more habitable world.
What a journey. We started with external rules rooted in ancient biology, moved through the chaos of perception down to this choice between expedience and truth, and landed on radical individual responsibility.
And it all comes down to accepting limitation. The source uses this perfect thought experiment. the paradox of Superman.
Oh.
As he gained more and more unlimited powers, flying faster than light, moving planets, being totally invulnerable, he actually became boring. He could just deus ex machina himself out of any problem.
He only became a hero when the writers gave him limitations.
Exactly. Kryptonite, his dependence on the sun, specific human vulnerabilities. A superhero can do anything is no hero at all. He's nothing specific, so he's nothing to strive toward.
Being requires limitation.
Being of any reasonable sort requires limitation because to become something more or something different requires having something to strive against. And this leaves you, the listener, with our final provocative thought to mull over.
Which is?
If you were truly unlimited with no chaos to fight and no rules to constrain you, what would you have left to admire in yourself?
Food for thought indeed. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.